Hi everyone, welcome back. It's time for pretty much what is the last Bundesliga and A League review of this particular season because it's all wrapped up now. We had the grand final, obviously the weekend just gone, A League, so Bundesliga finished the week before. We had the Pokal final, obviously, this weekend gone. I mean, it's all wrapped up, the Premier League's finished. We'll probably go back over that and do a little more coverage on the English content and wrap it all up ahead of the World Cup in a couple of weeks' time, obviously. So the football doesn't stop when you're a fan. It's just everywhere, as the Mitchell and Webb look sketch will tell you. Watch the football! There it is! It's gonna move!
Absolutely. Cracking
but,
those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we begin, how are you today, Ben?
Yeah, good. Had to... I mean, I just told you before we jumped on, I did try and stay up for the West Ham game last night and fell asleep and woke up with like 20 minutes to play, so missed all the drama.
You got all the action because their goals were late on, well, two of them weren't they?
Oh, I'll have to go back and watch them, but they're good. Saints went to Perth and only lost by 30, was right in the game till three-quarter time, so that was probably
the fair margin. But
it's the biggest margin we've lost by all season. So, that was fun. So glad I had alcohol to watch that because I certainly needed it. But looking forward to sort of wrapping up the season in both leagues, I suppose. It's been pretty crazy.
Exactly, and mostly this season, those of you who've watched it, we've started with the Bundesliga, but because there was no Bundesliga games to talk about, we'll talk about the Pokal game in a bit. Let's flip it on its head and let's just begin with the A League, and because we just had a small little game known as a grand final on the weekend. Big game in terms of context. And look, Sydney, fair credit. I mean, PK's done a wonderful job since coming in. That was our first defeat, in fact, under him since he took the reins. Back when, a couple of months ago now. So look, it's going to be great going into next season. But on the grand final itself first, look, I know a lot of people might have their views on it out there because it was a kind of scrappy, physical, not that interesting game of football. Kind of what you would expect if Sydney are playing Auckland off the back of this season. Two of the most, in terms of defensive records, two of the best in the league this season. But look, I quite like that, to be honest. I mean, I think this league needs that, in all honesty, more of that, I should say. Auckland, fair credit to them. Premiers play in their first season and they've done the championship in their second season. I've said it before, I said it in the lead up to it, I was happy it was Auckland we were playing because that's probably one of the only teams in the league. Even now, only a couple of days after, off the back of a defeat, it's weird, it just feels like I never really felt annoyed at the full-time whistle when we lost that game because I just have no ill feelings to Auckland. I know there's Sydney fans out there, bizarrely, who do. I don't understand it, to be honest. I'm really happy for Corica. That's his third championship as a manager. Puts him out ahead in terms of A-League history, and I think he's joint level with two other managers from NSL history, but I can't remember who they are off the top of my head. Ben, if you know, tell me.
I reckon one of them might be Ange and the other might be... I was going to say John Cosmina, but...
No,
Frank Arrock, maybe?
Possibly. They said it during the game, but I can't remember. But 3 as a coach and 3 A-League championships as a coach to go along with his 2, obviously, that he won with us as a player. That's 5 in total as a coach and a manager, untouchable. Literal legend of the A-League, Stevie Corica, and there's no denying that. Sydney legend as well. That's how you do it, Oofy. You don't go flirting with the fucking rivals when you're coaching us. Anyway, you can enjoy your wooden spoon next season. Anyway, look, I'm really happy for Corica. I'm happy for Auckland as well. First time we've ever had a New Zealand host, a grand final in New Zealand, let alone first time we've had a New Zealand team win the A-League grand final.
Absolutely.
If that's not just after the whole travesty of the Heidelberg drama and stuff the week before, if that's not a message to development that can still be possible in this country in terms of football, then I don't know what is. It's a shame, obviously, they can't play in the Asian Champions League, but that one makes more sense than the Heidelberg one, obviously, because they're technically not in Asia, so fair enough.
I think it's I was just going to say, just on the... Look, I didn't see the game, but I mentioned to you the other day, I think it's credit to... I almost said Newcastle. Credit to Auckland for taking that extra step and sort of doing the work, because I mentioned to you, I think everyone last week that I still remember walking into our semi-final second leg at Amy last year and seeing Victory knock them off at home and thinking, oh, they were the best team all year, they were probably unlucky, they bottled it. They proved their worth this time around and got the rewards. But I guess in terms of what it means for football, and yes, it's shit that they can't play in the AFC, but if it's not a message to Football Australia, and they've got a shitload of horrible stuff going on, I think there's like redundancies and the Heidelberg stuff and all this shit. I think it's a message that you don't fuck with the game, too much, because you miss stuff like this. Yes, it's not a Australian team winning it. I was sort of hopeful you guys might be able to get up on them, but I think it shows what they've built. The games that I've seen there and that we've covered, they've got a packed house there every week in what's usually a rugby league stadium. The Warriors play there every other week, but
they've done what the Warriors haven't been able to do.
Yeah.
Warriors have correct me if I'm wrong, but Warriors have never won an NRL Grand Final, if I'm correct.
I think you might be right. I'll do some research just while we're on the fly here. But no, you're absolutely right. And the fact that they've been able to sort of build the side in New Zealand and get the fans in is I think it's just goes to show what they've built. And this is the I guess the end product of it for the season. And in a league where we thought Newcastle were going to barnstorm home. At least it looked that way.
I didn't, did I? Because I predicted they and Adelaide would not make the final.
I know you didn't, but it sort of seemed as the weeks went on, and I had to sit at Amy Park in front of about 2,000 people and watch them demolish us, thinking they're the team to beat. And then, a couple of months later, Auckland have already have gone and just won it all. I'm just Googling this while we're talking.
But essentially, look, in terms of the game itself, 1-0 to Auckland, not made. Look, what a story for Cam Howison in his second season of A League football. Was playing semi-professional football for Auckland City, obviously before Auckland came into the A League. Hadn't scored a goal in the A League in those 2 seasons, and then chooses that moment to score a goal. A massive deflection off Courtney Perkins, I'll say, but it's obviously still going to go down as a goal with the initial shot being on target. What a moment to break your duck in the A League, right, for Cam Howison. Look,
absolutely.
And fair credit, I think he's actually been one of their, I think he's had a solid season for them, in all fairness. Probably wouldn't have been starting that season, that grand final obviously had Gallegos been fit, but obviously wasn't fit. So, look, fair credit to them, fair credit to Auckland. They went that one step further this time. And look, this is what the league needs more of, is what I'll say before we put a pin in this and move on to the Bundesliga. It needs the experience, because this was the first time really all season that I can think of where we had a game of football which any player who was on the pitch who wasn't the least bit experienced and a young kid just was struggling to get into the game. Look, Akola Khan's going to be a wonderful player, and I hope he stays with us for at least a good couple more years before he moves on elsewhere to a better league, hopefully, because he seriously has the talent and the confidence, but he was really struggling to get into that game. To give him his credit, he was doing a lot of hard work off the ball, but that was the game we've been crying out for all season in the A League, in all honesty. The game where the experience is what matters and not the youth. And not the youth is what we've seen throughout the regular season, time and time again, across multiple games between multiple teams. What the A League needs more of this again in the coming seasons. It needs to be not all scrappy 1-0s, but in the sense of it needs more of this kind of physicality where experience is what matters. It seriously does. And Auckland are so good at it, and it's no surprise that the league, for the most part, of the 2 seasons they've been in it now, with this kind of way they play, it's no wonder that most of the other teams have often struggled to beat them when they come at them like this, because they just don't match it physically, because they don't. No, football in this country, for probably even back in the NSL days, maybe. I never watched any NSL football, but.
Quality standard of play.
But the physicality is not not there, and Auckland bring this physicality, and I hope now going forward other teams start to learn it and match it with their signings. Not saying we should have a load of scrappy 1-0s and it's all about set pieces, but the kind of if teams aren't going to learn how to match the physicality, Auckland are going to have a dominant period of A League football, in my honest opinion. Because if they're going to keep turning out like this with the players they have, Sam Cosgrove, excellent, best striker in the league this season. Just in terms of like the way he physically just bullied defenses and everything. Like Sakai, even at the age he is, still going strong. Verstrate, brilliant again. Like they've got so many good physical, tall units who just are really compact and just learn how to get it done. And look, not much more to say on it. The A League's finished. Largely, it's been a disappointing campaign, but I think the shining light was that final, which is weird to say because it wasn't a particularly interesting or amazing game of football. No. But in terms of it's something we just hadn't seen all season in the A League, and we need it back.
I think
that
it was
sort of game back.
Yeah, I think it was probably deserved. Like you said, some of those games we had this year that were just complete shit, and I was witness to some of them live. So
how many times this season did we see games where teams would just lose concentration in the last 5 to 10 minutes and concede a late goal or two or whatever, and whether or not they still 3-1 became 3-2 or 3-0 became 3-2 or 1-0 became 1-1, 2-1 became 2-2 or 2-0 became 2-2. Like it happened way too often.
Exactly.
Like it's so like this was the first time really I can think all season where a team held a lead for about 30 minutes without looking, for the most part, looking relatively comfortable because they had the experience to see a game out. Yeah. It wasn't like an Adelaide game, just to use an example, back in the regular season where the amount of times they would just lose their shape and concentration because of the youth and inexperience across their backline and midfield. Exactly. Like this was a team that was just drilled well, organised well. We're like, look, this is the grand final. We've got 30 or so minutes to hold this 1-0 lead. Let's just do our job and hold this lead. And look, we had a few half chances, maybe a couple we should have done better with. But look, fair credit to Auckland. They just did not let us have anything serious in terms of momentum to try and even get back into that game at any point after we went behind.
No. I hope for your sake, at least you walked away with is it Ninja sponsor the league, right? So hopefully all the players got like a complimentary coffee machine or something, or a juicer or something like that, because you guys still had a great season. But I'm actually sort of glad it's wrapped up.
It's weird. I wouldn't say a great season. We had a very good start to the season. We were awful from New Year to about basically the final series. Let's just say. In the finals, we just suddenly started to click. And I know goal scoring was that issue, but I think if we can just get ourselves a good creative experience number 10 or something and a proper goal scoring centre forward in the off season, I think we're strong candidates to win the league next season, although Auckland yet again are going to be tough, I reckon. But I just look at the other teams around this league and I just don't see them doing the same thing. Newcastle, we know, are already losing players. Lockie Rose is already off. I believe Eli Adams is as well, if I'm correct. He's out of the club as well, I think. And they're going to struggle to replace players like that. I don't know what's happening with you guys. Obviously, you told me Kuhn and
Soprane's gone. Zane Schreiber's gone. I almost said Daniel Sinani. Daniel Arzani's gone. And Marcus Eunice, who hopefully, if there's one player I want to bring back for next season, it's him, because he was an absolute. I mean, you heard me talk about how bad we were going, and there wasn't a lot of light in our season. And this kid comes along and turns the club on its head basically, and scores most weeks, and going to those games was actually pretty, for the most part, exciting. And
as good as he was, also getting coincidentally, it was also as soon as you got eliminated from Asia when you started to click. There's a coincidence to that as well, that you were just struggling to cope with the 3 games a week when you were having to do it as well. Because you just didn't have the squad depth for those trips.
No, you're right. Yeah. And I hope for our sake, we signed some decent players. I think I saw Quinn Nichols signed on as well the other day. So, maybe we're sort of investing in that youth again. I know Truan, we signed Truan and he was pretty young and he's off to the MLS, I think. But, I'm sort of... It's sad that the season's wrapped up, but I'm actually pretty glad because I can go and focus on my other teams. One's been relegated and the other's
Well, yeah,
Had
we'll
no
dive
games
into the
for like 4
Bundesliga
weeks.
now.
So
Obviously,
may as well.
yeah, obviously those of you, and okay, I'll do it now. So if you've made it this far and you like what you're seeing, don't forget to give us a like, follow, share, subscribe. With the World Cup coming up, we're going to have a busy old schedule. But yeah, on to the Bundesliga. Yeah, obviously those of you who checked it out, we did a full deep dive on St. Pauli last week, so we don't really need to go into much more detail over what went wrong for them this season.
Everything.
Obviously finishing bottom of the league, just awful runs of form at the wrong time this season. Ultimately cost
Terrible
them.
manager.
Also, it has been a week. I don't know. Has there been an update on Blessing yet, or
The last I heard through Instagram Translator was that apparently, like, he's on some winter holiday or something, and they're going to sort of decide when he gets back. But Wolfsburg were looking at him. I think.
Jeez, how on earth is he going to get another Bundesliga job? Obviously, Wolfsburg aren't yet. Still, like, obviously they could still go down, but
let's hope so. And I think it was. I think I want to say Nuremberg were maybe looking at him too.
that seems more realistic.
Yeah.
If Wolfsburg will probably stay up, they're probably going to win the second leg. Even though Paderborn had a crack at it, Wolfsburg were the better side in that first leg.
Well, it should have been us, but what can you do?
But I don't understand why they would go. How Blessing, if Wolfsburg stay up and Blessing goes down, I have no idea how on earth he gets another job in the Bundesliga. How bad he's done this season.
Let him, and we'll get somebody who can actually, take us back to the promised land again. Because that's my sort of thought process now. Is as we sort of touched on last week.
But yeah, look, before we touch on the other teams, because obviously it's been a week since we last spoke about your team. Obviously transfers are a big thing. I don't know if there's been any updates on contracts being signed or players leaving or players potentially getting signed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that I sort of mentioned before we jumped on, and we know that Vasil's gone, which, I mean, I have a feeling that even if we had stayed up, he might have gone anyway.
Yeah, look, the thing about Vasil, I don't think we went about this last week, because he had an awful season, there's no doubt, but I think he still leaves your club as a modern-day legend. You've been there a long time.
Yeah. Despite all the difficult moments and all of that he put me through. But so sort of what I know is, so he's gone, Sinani's gone, and he obviously fell out of favour with the coaching staff late on, which is why he didn't feature in the last sort of few games, which I thought was surprising because we probably needed him, but that's football, right? So, and then after Pereira Lage got injured especially, which hurt us. But Carol Metz is gone, thank God. One half of Dumb and Dumber. Sorry, St. Pauli, but I had to say it. If I'm going to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch you guys, those two should be nowhere near a football pitch. Who else? Eric Smith may be going, from what I've heard. Jackson Irvine is staying, which is great. Cisse staying, the Estonian marble.
I reckon that's good for you. Right? He's had a good end to the season. If he can continue that form into next season, then, if he has a manager who's going to back him and play him most weeks, he could be a serious candidate for the Golden Boot potentially down there. Just going off his ends of the season in terms of the 3 games in a row in which he scored.
Cherry pick, sort of not very classy goals. But Ricky J. Jones, I think, is sticking around. Look, I really, as I said sort of last week, I really hope they don't sort of gut the side too much, but
because you've still got a core of players in there who are more than capable of doing a good job in the second division.
Yeah,
you need the other players around them. That's the thing.
Yeah, the only other guy who I think we might be looking at is I think it's Bullich from Duisburg. And he's like one of their best players. But as I've said to you multiple times in the last week, if we're going to try and get promoted back again next season, we can't be bringing in these 3 Liga players or 3rd division players. It's just not conducive for what we're trying to do. I mean, even Martin Kars, who was one of the best sort of strikers in the 2nd division, sort of was on and off this season, and when he was on, he was really good. And
you've still got him as far as we know right now, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going down into the 2nd division with him. So.
But it's going to be interesting. I'm sort of more interested to see who we actually sign as opposed to who's not sticking around, because we know there's going to be a few casualties.
Metcalf's going, didn't you say?
Not that I've heard, but
okay.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, But I think he's another one of those players, as per when we won the league a couple of seasons ago, that's going to be better in that division, I think. And hopefully he'll get more opportunity. But I do think, I think Blessing can go to Wolfsburg, he can go to Osnabrück, he can go wherever.
Melbourne
I know
City.
Timo Schultz is there, Melbourne City. Yeah, we'll
Really?
take him.
Sure you want him at Melbourne City?
Yeah, there's no worse than Warren Joyce and Eric Mombert. So just like that, that Instagram reel I showed you, or that photo of the Melbourne City honour roll of, like, coaches by number of games, and most of it's John Van Schip. So, but it's gonna be interesting. We know who's going to be in that division now, and I guess it's going to be a case of, assuming Paderborn don't make it tomorrow morning, will they be sort of contenders to go up? Because we are going to be talking a little bit about the second division. You're going to watch
that? That's the question. You're watching that second leg?
Not in the morning, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's on at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I struggled to get out of bed this morning after falling asleep in front of the West Ham game. So, but it's I think just to sort of put a bow on us. Look, disappointing season. We know where it went wrong. It's mostly of our own making, and I really just hope we take the lessons of that into the second division and just come straight back up, because we're that side, I think, that can at times match it with those bigger clubs. We beat two of the top six almost back to back.
I mean, look, to be fair,
as
far as I'm aware, I'm not still 100% clued in on this fight of Bundesliga as much as you are, at least. Obviously, a big plus for you is, if Wolfsburg stay up as well, then another team that's good, a decent sized team. You don't know, like Schalke have gone up. Obviously, they won the league this season. I forgot who Elversberg. That's right.
Yeah,
went up in second.
Won't have to worry about those clubs, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you still got teams like Nuremberg. You still got teams like Hanover. You still got Hertha Berlin, but I'm not sure they're that particularly good at the moment. Bielefeld, obviously. To be fair, I mean, it depends. Heidenheim, a small-sized club, going down could kill them. Obviously, like it could.
Well, look at Kiel last year. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You do worry for Heidenheim. I do kind of think Frank Schmidt's a decent manager for that sort of thing. I thought he's a better manager than Blessing, even though they've still gone down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting for you. I think for you, like next season, firstly, you need to get a manager in who's going to get more confidence in that attacking side of your team, because you keep Blessing, you're not coming up.
Nah.
Or at least if you keep him into a fair chunk of the season.
Yeah. Shows, I guess it probably just shows from that point of view, like, whether we're serious or not about going straight back up. If we decide to pull the trigger and get rid of him, I think that probably shows a little bit, not just to the players, but obviously the fans as well, who we know pack the Millen tour out every week, even when we were in our back-to-back sort of 9+ game losing streaks.
I was going to say, probably even when you were down in the third division back about a decade ago or whenever it was.
Well, that as well, back when the ground wasn't looking half as good as it is now. So, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do from that front, because hopefully, if they bring someone in like a Baumgarten or or somebody else, it attracts those players that want to play for the club and hopefully come back to the Bundesliga in 12 months' time.
Yeah. Speaking of the rest of the teams in the Bundesliga, we're not going to go through all of them, obviously, because that would get quite boring, and some we've touched on a lot this season. Really not going to say much about Bayern. We will talk about the Pokal final, though, because it is another trophy. And look, good that we've won it. First time we've won it since 2020. So, I'm not complaining, because we've had an awful run in the Cup between those two trophies. And look, the myth that people put out there that Harry Kane does not turn up in finals, that's completely put to bed, because my word, what a performance. That second half hat-trick just capped it. The three goals in that 3-0 win. Stuttgart probably sick of the sight of Harry Kane this season, given the fact that he scored 8 goals in 4 meetings with them this season. They're probably absolutely fed up with him. That's 61 goals in all competitions for him this season. He equals Cristiano Ronaldo's record in 2014-15, I believe, a record of most goals from a player in a season in top-flight European football. That record hasn't been beaten since. So yeah, look, that's a record he ties with. I mean, look, he's tied with Cristiano Ronaldo. If there's anything else to say that he's not the best striker right now in world football, then I don't know what else is. But yeah, look, a season for Bayern of just ridiculous quality, record-breaking achievements. The only blot of it, which is obviously not getting that Champions League, but it is what it is. You know, 3 defeats in all competitions this season. 3 defeats. 2 of them in the Champions League, mind you, as well. 2 of them in the Champions League. 1 defeat domestically all season. Obviously, Leverkusen beat that a couple of seasons ago with only 1 defeat being in a Europa League final, but in their entire season. But still, 1 defeat domestically all season. That pesky little Augsburg game back in January. That was the only one that look. It's weird. It's difficult to kind of sit here and say like we've had such a good season. I just know it's not going to be not anywhere near as close, but we're not going to beat it next season. It's just never going to happen. No. This season is a one of a kind season. We get 120 odd goals. I can't remember what the exact final figure was, but
I've actually got it in front of me here. 122.
Yeah, 122 goals in 34 games is just utterly ridiculous.
36 goals conceded, so that's literally one a game.
But it's more the goal scoring. 122 in 34 games is insane. Record-breaking season of epic proportion. Michael Olise, a deserved player of the season, didn't quite break that assist record of Thomas Muller. There was an assist record broken in European football. We'll get onto that in a bit. Still on the Bundesliga, look, that's enough about Bayern. Look, the rest of the top 4, obviously Dortmund, they were second basically for most of that season. It was always going to end that way for them. A much stronger season than what they've had in recent times, it does have to be said. They have got themselves back up there again. They do look strong again. Niko Kovac is proving to be a very good fit as a manager, I will say so. Any thoughts for you on Bayern and Dortmund?
Look, you've probably said more than I could probably say about Bayern. Having sort of witnessed one pretty good outing against them and one not so good outing against them, it probably just goes to show the class of the side and the depth and you didn't get your wish of every single you had every single outfield player score, right? Was that right?
Yeah. Every single outfield player in our first team squad, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, I was hoping for the keepers to chime in, but that didn't happen. So,
the only one where you could slightly argue is that guy who came on into Njai, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Coming in for the last couple of games and kind of featuring a little bit, but I wouldn't call him part of the first team squad really for the full season because he only played about 3 or 4 games at the back end of the season.
Well, I was hoping you guys would take the piss, and I was saying as such that you just put Neuer and whoever else is keeping out on the park, and like a David James and Peter Schmeichel and all those guys, and get them on the score sheet. That would be absolutely totally taking the piss. You've already won the title. How can you fuck around with the rest of the competition? Let's just rub some more Himalayan salt into the wound, shall we, for Dortmund? But I think in terms of the other 3, look, Dortmund just keep on keeping on. Leipzig was sort of up and down.
But for Leipzig's sake, obviously they didn't get they got nowhere near Europe last season.
No.
This season finishing 3rd. At times they looked like the second best team in the country. There was periods in games where they looked really good.
Yeah.
They were. But they just couldn't keep it going consistently throughout the season. Yan Diomande, I think he did end up winning Young Player of the Season, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And deservedly so. I mean, there's links. He's already getting links to Liverpool. I think that's a move that
he'll be in the Premier League before long. Yeah.
I think a team like Liverpool's just maybe a tad bit too soon at the moment. But look, he's part of that really exciting looking Cote d'Ivoire forward line going into the World Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes in the World Cup.
I thought he was Swiss for some reason. I don't know why, but Cote d'Ivoire, there you go.
I mean, look, on the World Cup, there is a game I'm definitely going to watch, and I recommend it to you, Ben, and anyone else who's watching. Germany versus Cote d'Ivoire, I reckon, is going to be a really good game of football.
It's just going to be like a Bundesliga versus Bundesliga,
exactly.
basically.
Funny on that, when we do the World Cup review, we'll touch on it more, but I had a look through some of the squads. I swear Austria have more Bundesliga players in their World Cup squad than Germany do.
Yeah.
Current Bundesliga players. Anyway, back, look, Leipzig, as you said, I'm relatively, thoroughly impressed with them this season, and, back in Champions League football, kind of, for the first time in about a season or two, I think, or maybe more.
Yeah.
And
But
rounding out the top
yeah.
four, obviously you got Stuttgart. Didn't quite make it back to back because it was always going to be difficult playing us in the final.
Yeah.
But still, a really good season from their point. They've gone from 11th to 4th, and that was after selling Nick Voltemada, who was one of the best strikers in the league last season. And they've got another one. Dennis Undav rose and took that place and more. I mean, what a season he's had. He's going to the World Cup. Hopefully, he has a fair say in the World Cup because, I think he's class.
Absolutely.
He is on his day.
World class.
They've just got a very good team, and obviously they were talking about it in the final. I don't know if you watched the final, any of the highlights, or heard some of the commentary, but potential that Sebastian Hoeneß could be a future Bayern manager one day. Kind of because of his father and all that, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, fair play Stuttgart. Obviously, they've got a lot of players, and they might struggle to keep a few of them in the summer. To be fair,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but for all their sort of goals every week and Undav getting on the score sheet most weeks, they still lost to us. So not all pitches and credit. Yeah.
The thing is that they've got players who've made the Germany squad. Furyk got picked, Undav got picked. Stiller was obviously going to get picked.
Yeah.
And most excitingly, for my sake, I think Jamie Laverlin getting picked for Germany as well.
Yeah.
And then not only that and then Nubel obviously though, but I don't imagine he's going to play that much. Wagnerman as well, I believe, got picked as well, if I'm correct. I might be wrong on that, but I think Wagnerman also got picked. So they have players who got picked for Germany's squad. So I mean, look, good season for Stuttgart, and hopefully they're going to kick on because Sebastian Hoeneß has been doing a really good job there. And then for the team, Hoffenheim, obviously they didn't.
We've got to talk about Hoffenheim.
Look, they didn't make the Champions League in the end. They have to settle for Europa League, but still, European football's still great for them. They had a great season. They had an absolutely phenomenal season all up. Did Hoffenheim?
Yeah.
Really, really good season. Kramaric back to his best. Some of the forward players, even though they kind of went cold at the back end of the season, Lempele had a solid season throughout. Aslani always chipped in when they needed him, it kind of still felt like. And then obviously going back to that Cote d'Ivoire attack, Basil Manatura, another one who had a really strong end to the season in the Bundesliga, who's going to be part of that Cote d'Ivoire forward line as well in the World Cup. So, there's a lot of Bundesliga talent that's going to be on show in the World Cup, this season. And then obviously, rounding out the top six, we got Leverkusen, who just weren't quite consistent enough to really have a crack at it this season. Too many times they had some poor performances. Although masked along with some really outstanding performances, the consistency killed them all season, and we said it over and over again, and it just happened, didn't it? The consistency was just not there at all for them this season.
Yeah. No, not at all. Probably lucky in the end, I guess, to finish sort of where they did, and but they did have a pretty large gap. Freiburg were.
I mean, that's the next. Yeah. We will round out with the top seven because I completely forgot about Freiburg. What a season they had.
Oh, yeah.
Ultimately, they got pumped in that final in the Europa League by Villa, but still making the final an achievement enough. The big thing for them is there's players that every teams are going to want. Johan Manzambi was the other candidate for me for Young Player of the Season because he was outstanding for them. And another player to watch in the World Cup for Switzerland, of course, as well. They've got some very, very, very talented players in their squad. Jan-Niklas Bester grew into the season as it went on, and he got better and better and better. Grifo was always churning it out for them. Suzuki had some moments. Even Lucas Hurler at times, when I lambasted him when we did our striker review for his season, actually had a decent enough couple of months after that. Maybe not scoring a load of goals, but he had a fair crack at it. To be fair, it wasn't that bad. Look, incredible. And who saw this? Because we knew Christian Streich had dominated. As a manager, had taken that team so far in the lead up to his departure. Of course, they've done such a good job under his stewardship. And who'd have thought that after he left, they felt like they're just going to another level. And I hope that they're going to kick on into next season as well with the team that they have.
Yeah, look, you'd certainly hope so. And like you said,
obviously your boy Matanovic, another one to watch in the World Cup. I think he's had a really good season
Well, that's going to be fun for me, watching players who either do play for us, and there's going to be hopefully a couple, or used to, yeah. So, I can't. Yeah, Jokeres, Jackson Irvine's gonna get a Guernsey, hopefully Connor Metcalf as well. Eric Smith going to the US with Sweden, but that's going to be fun for me. Especially if they make mistakes. It's, watching Bosnia Herzegovina is going to with my eyes over my hands over my eyes. Yeah, but I guess looking at the top half of the table, the team that I want to point out for an incredible season is Mainz. Just for what they were able to do, given the fact that they were rock bottom, before the winter break, to do what we certainly didn't think was capable.
Ninth, wasn't it?
10th. Yeah.
That wouldn't be top half then, Ben.
No, it wouldn't. But you know what I'm getting at. Yeah. Just below the top half. It's Monday night, and we're both exhausted. So, credit to them.
Really good second half of the season for Mainz, and look, culminating. Amiri got called up to the Germany squad.
Oh, good.
I did not see that coming, and fair credit, because I don't imagine he's going to play much, given the fact that the position he plays already, Havertz, Musiala, Leonard Carl, potentially, he's going to struggle to get minutes, there's no doubt about that, but still, a massive accomplishment for him, and showcasing, especially really that second half of the season, how good he was. I will say, for another team who was down there in the bottom half, I was very surprised that Said El Mala didn't get a World Cup call-up, because he's someone who's fast outgrowing his position at Köln and should be off to a better club. I don't know, it's weird, but I can see Dortmund making a move for him. He feels like a Dortmund player, weirdly enough. Yeah. If you think so, I just kind of think he just had this weird sense he's going to end up at Dortmund.
Absolutely possible, and I think a lot of those bigger clubs are going to be looking at that squad in terms of who can we bring in to improve us. But I think it goes for what Fischer was able to do. Like I said, there's been a few of those situations where you've had clubs like this under new management, and most of them were able to thrive in some way. So they'll be looking to sort of improve their squad next season and hopefully just go a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. Fair credit. I mean, look, we're not going to go through all the teams. No offence to Augsburg fans, but you had another mid-table finish like you always do. Gladbach kind of petered off towards the end of the season. They've still got some players, obviously. I know we're not doing a World Cup review, but they've got some players who are going to be at the World Cup. Joe Scally, obviously, being one of them. They've got players there. Obviously, Rocco Wrights is leaving, I believe. I can't remember where he's going.
Leipzig, I think.
Leipzig, yeah, that's right, yeah. So look, they're going to have to, re-strengthen in the summer. Could be a difficult, they're not completely out. Tabakovic, another one actually, is obviously going to be at the World Cup for Bosnia. Another good player who's had a really good season. In fact, even though maybe I think at the back end of the season he kind of went a bit quiet, but largely still had a really good season for them. Hamburg obviously back in the Bundesliga after a fair bit of absence out of it, traditional Bundesliga club, and look, fair credit to them, they had a solid season. They'll be hoping to keep hold of players like Fabio Vieira, who was absolutely exceptional all season for them. Dompe kind of faded in the second half of the season, it has to be said. But yeah, I mean, Miro Muheim, again, another World Cup player. He's going to be there for Switzerland. Yeah. There's a lot of Bundesliga players who just go into the World Cup, really, aren't there?
Certainly are.
Yeah. And then, look, on a word, we've spoken about you, we've spoken a bit about Wolfsburg, and Heidenheim, the relegation battle which went down to the last day. I mean, look, fair credit to them. I find it difficult to really think that Heidenheim are going to come straight back, and I think it could be a difficult period for them because small club, they've gone down, they've got players who are probably going to get poached by teams at the top half of that division or even the bottom half of the Bundesliga potentially. Looking at players like Zivzavadze and Honsack and Pieringer and those sort of players. Yeah. Maybe not so much Schimmer, but like Pieringer, Honsack, Zivzavadze. Those sort of players are the ones you can, even Ramai.
I was just going to say him, yeah. I mean, they had their sort of ups and downs in their moments, but I mean, they came home with a wet sail, but unfortunately, just credit to them for sticking around till the last day. It could have easily just been they could have been relegated, 2 or 3 weeks earlier. So credit to them, and yeah, I mean, it is going to be tough for them. I think. I mean, I mentioned Kiel before in terms of I thought they might have, better candidate to go straight back up, and they finished in the bottom quarter of the table. So, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen yet. It's going to be interesting to see what does happen.
And then obviously, to finish the Bundesliga portion, we've got the teams coming up, or at least 2 of them, because one's still yet to be decided whether it's Wolfsburg staying up or Paderborn coming up.
Congratulations, Paderborn.
Schalke, we'll start with the champion Schalke. Obviously, I know there are a lot of changes in their team. I believe Checo's there, actually.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Checo's playing for them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's still going to be at the World Cup, by the way. He has been selected for Bosnia, but I think we all saw that coming. Whether or not he's going to still be there playing in the Bundesliga next season's a different story. But look, fair credit. You've got a mate, obviously, who's a Schalke fan, of course. Have to learn more into the team over the course of the off season.
Well, I was thinking last week if we do a preview episode for the season, we'll get him on and if he's happy to jump on and have a chat. He's actually pretty knowledgeable in terms of his German football. So I'll put that to him. I'm sure he'd love to come on and have a chat about the season when it starts up again. Yeah,
that's fair enough. Yeah, but look, I don't know too much about them. Obviously, if that opens, we can get an insight from a proper Schalke fan over. And I would have to. It would be an interesting chat because probably talking about just an episode talking about Schalke itself because of how far they fell and now they've come back. I mean, obviously they came back recently, but then went straight back down again, and now. Yeah. Do they feel like they're in a better position? There's a lot of questions to ask them. They're a very interesting club over these last couple of years. Yeah. About a decade ago, they were one of the best clubs in Germany. And
they were. And
semi-finals of the Champions League. I remember in 2011 when we got to the final, and obviously that famous Pep Barcelona team, which schooled us in that final at Wembley, but we beat Schalke over the 2 legs in the semi-final that season comfortably. As in, when I say we, I mean United. Yeah. But even since then, 2015-16, they were still knocking about in the last stage of the Champions League, still challenging for Bundesliga titles, and then it just went so wrong. It crashed and burned, and they still yet haven't been able to recover because I said they have had a crack at coming back up in recent seasons, but then just went straight back down again.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see kind of where they're at this time round. And obviously the other team coming up is Elversberg, a complete unknown quantity. I believe this is their first ever time promoted to the Bundesliga. It is in
small. So I was just gonna say on Schalke just quickly. One thing I did that Steve did mention a while ago was apparently there's a massive waiting list for season tickets with them. That's how big the club is, and obviously the fan base as well.
60,000. They were filling out a 60,000 seater stadium in the Zweite Bundesliga. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
so that's going to be massive for next season, and great atmosphere. But Elversberg, whatever you want to call them, Elversberg. Amazing story. We've mentioned it multiple times on this podcast, but they really should have been in there last season. Sorry, Heidenheim, but talk about living on the right on the edge. But credit to them. And this is another situation of taking that next step. I mean, they could have sort of gone and sort of woe is me, woe is us. What are we going to do? We've been knocked out in a playoff second leg in the last minute or two, but they fought. And credit to them. They not only I thought they might have been a candidate for the playoff. Finishing up tomorrow, but they went in 1 second spot. So, from what I've seen, the stadium isn't much. It's more of a 3rd division ground, but it's like an NPL ground. And I love that. I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's like Luton Town, Bundesliga style, maybe. Having to come in off the street through somebody's back garden, maybe, I don't know. But credit to them. It was where Fisnik Aslani, the Hoffenheim striker, actually played. I think he was on loan there the season before last. So hopefully they'll be able to bring it. It looks like they've got some good players. I did find out their manager is not Antonio Conte, it's some other guy. But, spitting image. I mean, I saw an Instagram post of a David Brent impersonator at a stag do over the weekend, and I'm like, if Conte needs to get someone for a opening of a supermarket or something, he's your guy, Vincent somebody, I can't remember his name, but look, I think it's a great story, and I love these sort of stories, no matter what league it's from. I think I sent you a post about a second division team in Portugal's league, who are playing in the Europa League. It's just little things like that are so what make football, and especially the Bundesliga, really special. So hopefully for their sake they can survive and thrive, like Union and Mainz and a couple of other clubs have managed to do over the years. But I think just getting there and taking it up to the bigger clubs, I think for them is going to be a really interesting watch.
Yeah, it will. I mean, look, before we move on to the last portion of this video, we're going to say, look, they're going to be right up against it. There's no denying that. They're a very small club. No disrespect to them or their fan base. It's going to be a tough season for them next season. There's no doubt about that. And, you'd be silly at the moment not to predict them to finish bottom and quite comfortably in bottom. But we haven't had a transfer window yet. Obviously, surprises can happen in football, and especially in the Bundesliga, we've seen it. Heidenheim came up as a first-time Bundesliga club, obviously, recently. Small club, small ground, and then went straight into Europe. So, it's not impossible to just come up and make your mark in this league. So we've seen it happen before.
It's a long season.
So, fair credit to them. Hopefully they get hopefully they have a fair crack at it. But yeah, look, the truth is they're going to be right up against it. It's going to be a very difficult season potentially for them. So yeah, and for Schalke, obviously they'll be, like with Hamburg, now that we've got them back and they're looking like they're going to establish themselves. I hope the same for Schalke, another traditional Bundesliga club that's been missing from the top flight for too long, in my opinion. Yeah. We need them back. And we need them back and challenging for around the top four, or at least European places again. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, on to the last portion of the video then, because we did some English coverage obviously before, a couple of a month or so ago now it is. Obviously that's all wrapped up now. Arsenal, congratulations, you've won the Premier League title. We all know your online fans are just rubbing it in everyone else's faces, so we're not really going to go into
they didn't bottle it, what a shocker.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look, there's a lot changing in English football this season, it has to be said. Pep Guardiola, the biggest one, of course, is Pep Guardiola. I have my thoughts as a United fan over why he's leaving. And I think it has something to do with a certain number with 3 digits in it.
666?
No. You know which number I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'll just do the air writing on the screen to wind people up. I just realise it's backwards, but whatever. I mean, they might have that many charges in terms of the backwards one, 511 rather than 115.
Okay.
Yeah, the 115. I have my theories with that. Like, most of the second half of the season when the contract talks were going, there's a lot of stuff saying he was going to sign another contract for another year at least, and then 2 weeks out from the end of the season he announces he's leaving. I don't know about you, but I think maybe he's saving face and trying to protect himself, which fair enough, he's allowed to, he's earned the right to. Because I have a feeling, as do a lot of other United and just general fans of the Premier League and other clubs in the Premier League, not City fans obviously because they're going to try and deny it, or at least most of them are, but I have a feeling he's leaving because there's something that's potentially going to happen soon with those charges. They're coming. I think Pep knows. I think Pep has... No, but I mean, I think Pep has some sort of inkling that something's happening and he's getting out before it gets messy. And as I said, he's allowed to do that. He's earned the right to do that. It's not his fault that they've bought, that all this legal nonsense is on City. It's not Pep's fault in any way whatsoever. No. It's purely a fault with the club and, all of that stuff itself. And I think he's getting out because he has a feeling there's
he knows the shit's going to go down, But hey, I mean, we talk about City and the fact that City are connected with a lot of different clubs
in the
world.
We're not really doing the episode on this, but we will quickly entertain it for a minute at least. What is the knock-on effect? Obviously, we don't know, firstly, when the charges are coming. Secondly, when they come, what or even if, but like when they come, what the ramifications are going to be, how big it's going to be. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about a 60-point deduction, which would effectively relegate them. If you think
Championship
about it.
football. There you go. Beautiful.
Well, it would effectively relegate them because, like, if they had a 60-point deduction, they would need a minimum of 90+ points to stay up.
If it happened to Rangers,
they've done it before.
Them.
Obviously, they've done 100 points, obviously, but it's not out of the realms of possibility. But likelihood is a 60-point deduction would effectively relegate them,
and so it should. But I was just going to say on Pep, I mean, City have a wide network of sister clubs across the world. If he's looking for a job at City or he's looking for a job at Yokohama Marinos, he can walk straight into it. I'm sure he'd love to drive out to Casey Fields, right, on a brisk morning, like a foggy morning, like we've had the last couple of days.
Yeah, but as I was saying, if it's more than just the 60 points, is there a knock-on effect to do with the finances, right? Because rightfully so, they oversee a lot of clubs in the world, one of them being Melbourne City, obviously. I know the link between them is not that strong, obviously, with the finance and stuff, but it could have a knock-on effect. I don't think in terms of anything like Melbourne City would get any sort of points deduction or fine, but it could mean the finances they get of the little finances they get from the City group could be taken, potentially. But anyway, that's a topic for another video altogether. We're not just going to go into
probably do an hour on that,
Yeah, exactly. Trust me, I could. But the Premier League as a whole, it's been one crazy season. West Ham have gone down. It was between them and Tottenham on the final day. That's utterly ridiculous. West Ham put up a fair fight. They were, to be fair, this last month or so, they've looked quite good, but they just haven't had the results performances are merited. And even though they played well and beat Leeds deservedly 3-0, Tottenham's narrow win against Everton ultimately kept them up. And Tottenham, we all wanted Tottenham to go down apart from their fans, but we all knew football was never going to, the grand scheme and concept of football was never going to allow that to happen. Chelsea finished 10th. They've had an awful second half of the season, obviously. Another lacklustre performance against Sunderland in the last game of the season, which unbelievably, for those of you who aren't aware, and I was only aware after seeing the table at full time of the games this morning, Sunderland have qualified for the Europa League. Sunderland have qualified for the Europa League. The turnaround in that club over the last year or so, from where they were, dropping all the way into League One, and it took them 3 seasons to get out of it as well, mind you. After those back-to-back relegations from the Premier League straight down into League One, and the turnaround and where they are now, unbelievable. 7th place in the Europa League. Obviously, that means, their recruitment was brilliant this summer, but they're really going to have to be on it this one, because it really could be difficult for them if they don't get that squad depth, because those Thursday night fixtures are an absolute killer for teams who aren't
second
used to
season
that.
syndrome that we've talked about with other clubs.
And they've got to cope with you. But look, the fans won't mind. The fans won't care. Sorry, they're playing in Europe, for God's sake. It was only 2 seasons ago that Sunderland were playing away at Preston North End. And next season they could be going to play Juve, because Juve are in the Europa League.
Yeah.
The Sunderland fans aren't going to care one bit, having watched their team away at Preston, and now next season may get a chance to go and watch them play Juventus. That's a huge change in direction for the club, and fair credit to them, because they were run terribly for years, and now they're on the up and up and up. Reggie Labrie, what a job he's done this season as manager. Brentford missed out. Brighton just snuck in the end, although we'll talk about that now, because United were absolutely outclassed them on the final day to cement our 3rd place finish, which was already secured regardless of our result against them. And the big talking point from that was Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes now holds the record for the most assists from a single player in a single Premier League season. 21 assists. 21. Henry and Kevin De Bruyne's record of 20 assists is no more. Bruno Fernandes now holds that record, and the best part is he's outright and holds it on his own. And maybe it might last not that only a couple of seasons because of the way football's going these days, maybe. But who cares? Right now, Magnifico is the one who holds that record. He got the Football Writers Association Player of the Year award. He got the PFA Player of the Year award, which was the big one, and I'm so happy he got. And he got the Playmaker of the Year, obviously, because he got the most assists. A treble of personal accolades for Bruno Fernandes, something he has been deserving of since the moment he walked into our football club, in all honesty, and he's finally achieved that. The only thing now is a Premier League title, and if we get our recruitment right this summer, that genuinely could come next May. Like, it's not that far-fetched now. City have a lot of change. Maresca's not Pep. Obviously, they're still going to spend money. Arsenal's still Arsenal, but if they enforce those corner rules, all of a sudden things could change. Liverpool are an absolute mess at the moment. Chelsea are as well. I know Alonso's coming in. There's a lot of talk about that, but their ownership is still going to interfere, and it's not exactly going to be smooth sailing. They're going to be better, of course. Tottenham are obviously going to be better. If United just get our recruitment right in the summer and get Carrick the players he needs and get that squad depth up, there's nothing saying we can't get in a title race next season. Because if we play anything like the football we've played at times this season, especially in this second half of the campaign, like, undeniably, Carrick came in, he's had 17 Premier League games, he's won 12, drawn 3, lost 2. Like, what an incredible turnaround from us in this second half of the season. Compared to where we were at this stage last season, having just finished 15th and lost the finals at Tottenham. Like, the complete difference in a year makes in this club is incredible. Like, in football is incredible in terms of, like, the club, like what United are. We just feel like we're back again, but it just feels a bit different this time. We feel like there's belief now. We've got the players. We're getting the squad together, and we've got owners who care a lot more. So, yeah, look, fair credit. I mean, look, you've gone silent for a bit. I don't know if you have any thoughts on United or the Premier League as a whole this season.
Well, I mean, the relegation scrap is what I always look forward to, and it actually delivered more or less this season. But I do think
not really. It only went down to the final day between Spurs and West Ham. Burnley and Wolves went down long ago.
Well, I'll get to Wolves in a second, but two things I just want to say. Number one, I hope for your sake you win 5 in a row, because that dude needs it, Frank or whatever his name is. It's time to cut your hair, dude. And if you do it before the season starts, more power to you. Haven't seen him on Instagram for a while, so maybe he's already done it and he's in.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah, just like the City 115 charges, I mean, Frank's haircut is coming as well.
What a segue.
Hang on, this is the thing, what's going to happen, what's going to come first, Frank's haircut or City's charges? That's the ultimate question.
Sorry, mate, it's going to be charges, I think. That's.
I don't mind, either way it's a win-win for United fans.
Yeah, it's going to be charged. The other thing as well is welcome, as a result of Wolves going down, welcome back to the good old Black Country derbies next season.
That's the thing.
The
championship is going to have some proper games of football next season. We got the Black Country derby. We got the West Ham Millwall derby, which is the old firm. Like
9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, of course, and it's yeah. If you want to go and steal a TV from somebody's living room, go and do it while West Ham and Millwall.
It's just a shame. It's just an absolute shame that Sheffield Wednesday are run like an absolute circus. Because we could have had a championship season where we had a Steel City derby, a Black Country derby, and an Old Firm, all in the same season. But it wasn't to be because Sheffield Wednesday is Sheffield Wednesday, unfortunately.
Yeah, Albion versus Leicester.
But hang on, we're going to have Blackburn Burnley. Apparently, that's a really ferocious derby as well.
Oh, that's good. Well, I don't know what they call that derby, but it's.
Yeah. So yeah, the Championship's going to be an interesting old league next season. Obviously, Cardiff and Swansea are going to be back.
Yes.
Cardiff are back, so we've got the Wales derby as well. Well, all 3 Welsh teams are going to be in the division this time.
Yes.
Like, the 3 of them are Wrexham, Cardiff, and Swansea.
And Plastic FC, yep. Good old Plastic FC are going to be there as well. And I'm sorry, I love what they're doing, but.
Sorry, South Coast derby, Portsmouth, Southampton.
Oh, yes, beautiful.
Obviously, that was this season, but it's still going to be there this season as well.
Yeah, shout out to my mates who did go to Fratton Park. I think they played Liverpool one year on a Kentucky tour. I didn't go. I bought a car, so there you go.
I'm sorry, a Kentucky tour taking people to Fratton Park is hilarious. Like, I rate it because it looks like a great ground to watch football at. But
I don't know if it was part of the tour, but anyway, let's just say it was. That's just we're going to Amsterdam or whatever. Oh, we're stopping off going through via Portsmouth, sunny Portsmouth.
But But yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a great season for you as a West Brom fan. You get to revel in some Wolves misery once again because they're going to be in the same division as you.
On our way to hopeful, playoff spot. But I'm also, we talked about the teams going up in the Bundesliga. I mean, what about Coventry, and how do you think they're gonna go? I think they've got the capability
they're an unknown
to bring in
to
some.
me.
Yeah,
they're really unknown because Frank Lampard's had an awful record as a Premier League manager compared to a Championship manager. It's kind of like a Scott Parker situation. He's brilliant in the Championship. Scott Parker's awful as a manager in the Premier League, and it's the same. I'm worried for Cov because Frank Lampard, also the recruitment, their team doesn't look like it's they've got to strengthen their team in certain areas. I think Ipswich are the best suited of the three teams coming up because they went in there recently and they've still got Kieran McKenna, and they've largely got a core of players that they were in the Premier League with last time.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of have a feeling that having learned from mistakes, I think they might stay up this time. Cov I'm worried for. Hull I'm worried for because, I mean, look, this is the other thing about the Premier League next season. We're about to have a Premier League season with Marinakis and Achin Ilachala in as owners. I mean, and Todd Bowley. It's going to be an absolute mental year. It's going to be a mental year of Premier League ownership next season, that's for sure. We might make some makeshift derby when Hull play Nottingham Forest next season in the Premier League.
I still can't get over that. That's brilliant from them.
The ownership derby or something.
Oh, yes.
The two of the wackiest owners in football right now.
Yeah.
Those two are.
I think it's brilliant for Hull, and as I said before, coming from sixth, the Millwall were almost unbackable favourites.
I mean, look, the right thing happened, right? Obviously, fair, they did the right thing in the sense of Middlesbrough got a chance after the whole Spygate thing. Mm-hmm. Another video we could do a whole hour on, probably.
Oh, yes.
It would have been ridiculous if Borough won that playoff final. Mm-hmm. The right thing happened. Hull winning that playoff final was the justification.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot going on with the whole Southampton thing because other teams could start getting involved in the legal sense for compensation. Because I don't know if you saw, but it turned out that it happened on multiple occasions this season. No. It wasn't just the semi-final.
Wow. That makes sense.
One which it worries me for Southampton because particularly one game they did it for was that 5-1 against Wrexham. Now, if there's any bunch of owners in that league you don't want to get into a legal battle with just because of the amount of sheer money they have, it's them lot at Wrexham.
Yeah.
Rob and Ryan will take Southampton to the cleaners if it goes to a legal battle between the two of them. I'm worried for Southampton.
Yep.
It could seriously have a detrimental effect on the club in terms of fines and stuff like that.
It might be a...
And obviously, not only that, the EFL hasn't completely laid out all their sanctions yet. There could still be further action to come from the EFL as well. I wouldn't imagine a points deduction. I mean, maybe they sometimes say.
Well, they're throwing them out. They're throwing them out like lollies at the moment. Albion got 2 for fucking nothing. So, and it didn't make them do. But I was going to say it's going to be more like that. The Hail Marys Stadium rather than St Mary's Stadium next season if Southampton get the book thrown them. Look, I like them, not for obvious reasons, up the Saints, but
because of their nickname.
A guy in our WhatsApp group follows them, and he's actually in our reserve seat group. So but we were having a good old laugh on our WhatsApp group about the whole saga and just how fucking ridiculous it was, and. But I mean, it's going to be a good excuse for me to keep my BN Sports subscription for next season. I think with championship games at this level and obviously the second division.
The fact you're a West Brom fan, but not in the championship.
No, well that too. But how long am I going to care for until we actually start? Yeah, we might start okay, and then we'll peter out like we did this season. But
two of your teams are in the second divisions of their respective country next season. They could both win it. Probably not going to happen for West Brom.
No.
Because the championship's going to be so tough at the top end of the table next season.
Well, depending on who we buy. So, we've actually got some money into the club hopefully now. But, but I thought overall a really interesting Premier League season, and I didn't think Arsenal were going to win it after the talk and the bottles and all of that. But, old Lego head, as you call him, they got it done, found a way.
Yeah, exactly, and that's by conning the refs. But look, we'll wrap up now as we go over the hour mark on another episode. This is it, obviously, for this season in terms of Bundesliga A League reviews. We've got the World Cup 3 weeks away, obviously, so we've got content from that coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Next week, we'll probably just kind of go back to a traditional tea break episode for the Monday/Tuesday upload, so look out for that. And obviously the World Cup, we got plenty of stuff we're going to have to start planning for that, obviously, as it fast approaches, and it promises, as ridiculous as it is with 48 teams, because it is getting a little ridiculous. I saw one of the group stage fixtures. I don't know if you're going to stay up to watch this one in particular, Ben, but it's Democratic Republic of the Congo versus Uzbekistan. Now, if you're going to talk about a game of football in the World Cup, like, and how ridiculous it's getting in terms of the amount of teams they're adding in, the fact that Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uzbekistan is a legitimate World Cup match.
That's a blockbuster. Come on. I mean,
no disrespect to the fans of the nations and the teams and so on, but like, it seems a little ridiculous.
It's like Cape Verde versus anybody else in their group. The one thing I will say on, just before we wrap up on DRC, is you might be familiar with like that one of their massive fans who gone to different tournaments, and I think he dresses up as a former president or something. He basically just stands there as a statue the entire game. He actually got dispensation as part of the DRC travelling party, so he's actually going to be going to the games, which I think is fantastic. I think football needs characters like that in the game, and especially ones who don't throw flares and carry on and whatnot. So
you're just digging out the North Terrace again there or something.
Yeah, I am, but fuck them. I don't care. They got what they deserved, and I think it's from a Socceroos point of view. I mean, we heard all the stuff about Fed Square and the games not being shown there and that getting overturned. We'll do our review in a couple of preview in a couple of weeks. I really hope that I'm not going to be going to those live sites. I've been before, and I think I was there for the Peru game. I think I was standing in the cold for about 4 hours before the game watching Home Shopping Channel or whatever it is that Channel 10 usually have before the game starts. So, but
while he's going, I'm just saying, while he's coming that weekend for the first game, he's going to Fed Square for that game.
Oh, good on him. Is he bringing his flares or?
No. Firstly, he asked if me and Jay wanted to come, and I promptly said no. Then he asked if you wanted to come, and now I gather you're probably going to say no as well.
If it's a 5 a.m. or 4 o'clock kickoff, absolutely not.
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the late game. Nah. If I was going to go to something like that, it would be at night. I just don't see the value of it during the day. And plus, I'm over 40 now. I can't be fucked. So it's like, it's the only time I'm making an effort for something like that is when the Saints are back on grand final day. So,
but you won't be going to Fed Square. You'll be going to the fucking MCG for that.
Well, they used to have the presentation at Fed Square afterwards.
Oh, okay.
We didn't win those years, so there you go. So, but look, I think it's going to be great for the country, great for the city. But look, I'm really looking forward to doing the preview in a couple of weeks' time. I'm not across every single team yet, obviously. Given the fact that they've expanded the clubs.
Because there's 48 fucking teams in this World Cup, we can't really sit here and go through every single one of them in detail. It's more like we'll do an overview. We'll do an overview of the groups rather than the teams.
Good idea.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I mean that's all good for me. We'll see you guys next time. We'll just do a pretty standard chilled out tea break episode, which we're gonna cobble together some ideas of maybe sometime later this week. We'll do that for you next week, of course, because we have a little break from football for at least 2 weeks before we have to get that World Cup review underway, and then obviously delve into the madness of the World Cup. Also going on, just a quick side note, I don't think it's ever happened before in sport that England are playing a friendly. So we're playing one of our pre-World Cup friendlies against New Zealand. Funnily enough, 2 days prior, England's New Zealand Test match kicks off for the first one of the English Test summer. Has it ever happened before that England have played New Zealand in 2 different sports 2 days apart? Maybe rugby's more likely, but in terms of football and cricket, I kind of find that a bit funny. But fair enough.
Quite possibly. But just two quick things I'm going to wrap up with, and one of them is pretty important. But you might have heard Tommy Smith, speaking of the Kiwis. Could he be the first non-league player to play in a World Cup? Well, maybe. And the other thing, just before we wrap up, is just condolences to the Danaher family. Neil Danaher, who you might have heard of, Chester, passed away today, 65, I think, MND, 13 years. That's like Stephen Hawking type stuff, just remarkable, and life's pretty shit when it comes to stuff like that. I've been through some stuff myself, and it's just, you know, it just sort of puts life and everything into perspective, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, it does. We're going to end this on a somber note. Yeah, no. Yeah, condolences, you know, never a good thing. Passing away, look, you've weirdly led us on a weird somber note here. Look, let's just wrap up this video. But yeah, look, we'll be back with a tea break episode. Of course, next week for you guys. We'll cobble some ideas together later this week. But until then, peace out, take care, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Take care, guys.